2 passionate hikers, 1 legendary summit, steep cliffs, exposed chains, and 1 epic adventure. Join us as we take on Angel's Landing in Zion National Park, Utah. Our adventure begins deep in the spectacular Zion Canyon, where we hiked 8 kilometers from the visitor center to the Grotto parking lot, where the trailhead is located. From there, we follow the West Rim Trail, climbing through towering sandstone walls and tackling the famous Walter's Wiggles until we reach Scout Lookout, where the real adventure begins. From here, the trail narrows dramatically, with sheer drop-offs on both sides and chains bolted into the rock. Every step brings us closer to the summit of Angel's Landing and its breathtaking 360-degree views over Zion Canyon. To help you visualize this hike, here's the route we followed from Grotto parking lot. We began by crossing the bridge over the Virgin River, then followed the West Rim Trail toward Angel's Landing. We then followed the river along a paved path for about 1 kilometer before beginning the climb on the first set of switchback toward Refrigerator Canyon. Refrigerator Canyon will provide you with some welcome shade and tranquility. Visitors are encouraged to keep quiet in this section of the trail to help protect the Mexican spotted owls that call the canyon home. After your leisurely stroll through Refrigerator Canyon, you will hit what is known as Walter's Wiggles. These wiggles are a series of 21 steep uphill switchbacks. These switchbacks were named Walter's Wiggles after Walter Rusch, Zion National Park's first superintendent when the trail was built back in 1924. Once you finally reach the top of Walter's Wiggles, you'll reach another milestone on the Angel's Landing Trail, known as Scout's Lookout. A lot of people stop their hike here and turn around, and if you are uncertain about continuing on to the top of Angel's Landing, it is still an amazing hike to make it to Scout's Lookout. To me, Scout's Lookout was where the real adventure started. The rest of the Angel's Landing hike will truly test your mental strength as the trail becomes narrower and narrower, eventually turning very steep. But keep believing in yourself. It's totally worth it. Make use of all the tools you have at your disposal: strong, steady legs and hands that can firmly grip the chains along the way. Take deep breaths, pace yourself, and most importantly, try to embrace the moment and enjoy the excitement of it all. Once you reach the summit of Angel's Landing, all the effort, nerves, and adrenaline suddenly seem worth it. From the top, you're perched high above Zion Canyon with spectacular views stretching in every direction. The towering red and cream sandstone cliffs surround you, while the Virgin River looks like a tiny ribbon winding its way through the canyon far below. Looking back, you can trace the route you've just climbed, while the sheer scale of Zion's canyon walls makes you realize just how high you've come. Now come along with us as we experience one of the most amazing hikes in the world. Our plan was simple: get to Angel's Landing as early as possible, before the crowds. We were hoping to drive right to the Grotto parking lot, but when we arrived at the park entrance around 5 a.m., we were greeted by a closed road, shuttle-only sign. Great! We had left our bikes at the campground we were staying, which was about 30 minutes away. The first shuttle wouldn't leave until 7 a.m., so we decided to simply walk the 8 kilometers from the visitor center to the trailhead. It took us 1 hour 17 minutes, but it worked out perfectly. We arrived at Grotto before the first shuttle crowd, and we're still among the very first hikers on the trail. If you are not early hikers like us, you'll likely take the 7 a.m. Zion's shuttle bus into the park to get to the trailhead. The bus stop you'll want to get off at for the Angel's Landing hike is bus stop number 6. There are several other bus stops along the way, and the Narrows hike would be last stop, stop number 9. Shortly after you leave Grotto parking lot, you will cross over Virgin River and merge right onto West Rim Trail. A lottery-based permit is required to hike Angel's Landing from Scout Lookout, helping manage crowds and protect the park's natural resources. You can apply through the seasonal lottery, held about 2 months before the hiking season, or through the daily lottery, the day before your hike, if you don't get a seasonal permit. Once you receive your permit, download or print it before your hike, as rangers may ask to see it along the trail. Right from the trailhead, Angel's Landing towers above you to the north, offering a spectacular preview of what lies ahead. As you make your way toward Refrigerator Canyon, you'll get an even better view of where you'll soon be standing. In 1916, Frederick Fisher famously remarked that it was so high that only an angel could land on it, giving this iconic formation its name. Interestingly, Despite its impressive height, Angel's Landing isn't Zion Canyon's highest point. Just across from Angel's Landing, Observation Point rises to about 6,500 feet, more than 700 feet higher than Angel's Landing. We are now heading up the first set of switchbacks leading to Refrigerator Canyon. It is a steady and fairly easy climb. Behind us, the trail we've just climbed can be seen snaking its way up from the banks of the Virgin River. We are now entering into Refrigerator Canyon, the home of the Mexican spotted owls. Quickly, you will find out why Refrigerator Canyon got its name. It's always shady and cool and will be a nice break from the sun. It's also very mellow and will allow you to catch your breath before the second set of switchbacks. This second set of switchbacks, known as Walter's Wiggles, is such a fun part of the hike. Once you reach this point, you're just a few steps away from Scout Lookout and the incredible views that await you there. We've now reached Scout Lookout, where most hikers turn around, either because they don't have a permit to continue to the summit of Angel's Landing, or because the narrow, steep section ahead, with chains bolted into the rock, feels too intimidating. But let's be honest, if you choose to keep going, you're in for what I think is the most thrilling and exciting part of the entire Angel's Landing hike. Here we go. Let the fun and nerve-wracking part begin. This is where the real adventure starts. We are now starting up the steepest and narrowest section of the mountains, named the Hog's Back. Standing on the summit of Angel's Landing felt almost surreal. High above Zion, with the altitude adding to the exhilaration, we were surrounded by endless views beneath a flawless bluebird sky. Balanced on a narrow ridge with sheer drops falling away on both sides, the dramatic spine of rock we had climbed stretching out beneath us. That day, there was barely a breath of wind, making the exposed ridge feel strangely peaceful. And then there was the solitude. Somehow, we were incredibly lucky to have the summit almost entirely to ourselves, just me and my husband, Steve. For a few unforgettable moments, it felt as though the whole canyon and the world belonged only to us. After spending an incredible moment taking in the summit of Angel's Landing, we began our descent. We encountered only a handful of hikers making their way up, allowing us to continue enjoying the trail before the large crowds arrived later in the day. Crossing paths with other hikers along the chain section would certainly have added another level of difficulty and danger to an already exhilarating experience. In many places, the trail is so narrow and exposed that you simply wouldn't want to let go of the chains. Every step demanded focus, balance, and a healthy respect for the sheer drop-offs on either side. As we made our way back toward the trailhead, the enormity of what we had just experienced began to sink in. Angel's Landing had challenged us with its exposure, rewarded us with extraordinary views, and given us a rare moment of solitude high above Zion Canyon. We left exhilarated and deeply grateful for the perfect conditions, the quiet summit, and the privilege of experiencing one of the most unforgettable hikes we've ever shared. Some trails are simply hikes. Angel's Landing is an experience that stays with you long after the last step. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this adventure, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future hikes and mountains journeys. We will see you on our next adventure, Middle Sister in Canmore, Alberta, in the heart of the Canadian Rockies.